Hello and welcome to the lesson. And in this lesson, we will be discussing non-primitive data types in Java. Non-primitive data types, also known as reference data types, are data types that are not built into the Java language, but they are constructed using the primitive data types that we previously discussed. And in this lesson, we will cover the main aspects of non-primitive data types, but without diving very deep. We will discuss each non-primitive data type in detail in future separate lessons. And during this lesson, we will discuss the following topics. The first one is the explanation of non-primitive data types like strings, arrays, classes. Then we'll compare primitive and non-primitive data types, and we'll see a demonstration of how to declare and initialize variables of non-primitive data types. So there are three main non-primitive data types in Java. The first one is string, second one is arrays, and the last one is classes. First, let's talk about the string data type. A string is a sequence of characters, and it is used to store text in Java. Strings are extremely versatile, and they are used in many different parts of a Java program, such as in user input, output, and in file names. To create a string variable, we use the keyword string followed by the variable name, and assign it a value using the assignment operator equals. For example, as you can see on the demo 1, string myString equals hello world. We'll discuss strings in more detail in future lessons. Next, let's talk about arrays. An array is a group of elements of the same data type. Arrays can store multiple values, and they are useful for storing large amounts of data of the same type. To create an array, we use the keyword new followed by the data type of the array and the number of elements it will hold in square brackets. For example, as you can see on the demo 2, int square brackets my array equals new int 5 in square brackets. So as I mentioned, this is just an example to show you how it looks like, but we will discuss all of the array details in future lessons. So the demo 2 will create an array of integers with a length of 5. We can also initialize the elements of an array when we declare it, like on the demo 3 in single line. Lastly, we have classes. A class is a blueprint for an object, which is an instance of a class. Classes are used to define the structure and behavior of objects, and they are the building blocks of the object-oriented programming in Java. To create a class, we use the keyword class followed by the name of the class. For example, as you can see on the demo 4, class my class. We'll discuss the details again in future lessons, and this is just a brief overview. So, we have covered the three main non-primitive data types in Java: string, arrays, and classes. These data types are essential to building complex and powerful programs in Java, and they are used in many different parts of a Java program. Now, let's compare primitive and non-primitive data types. One key difference is that primitive data types are stored in the stack, while non-primitive data types are stored in the heap. This means that primitive data types are stored in a fixed amount of memory and have a specific size, while non-primitive data types have a variable size and their memory is allocated dynamically. Another difference is that primitive data types have a value, while non-primitive data types have a reference to an object. For example, when we'll declare an int variable with a value of 5, the variable holds the value 5. However, when we declare a string variable with a value of hello, the variable holds a reference to a string object in the heap that contains the value hello. Here is an example of declaring and initializing a primitive and non-primitive variable. So let's take a look at the demo 5. In this example, we can see that the primitive int variable is assigned a value directly, while the non-primitive string variable is assigned a reference to a new string object. It's also worth noting that primitive data types have a predefined set of operations that can be performed on them, whereas non-primitive data types can have custom methods defined for them. In summary, primitive data types are stored in the stack, have a fixed size, hold a value, and have predefined operations. Non-primitive data types are stored in the heap, have a variable size, hold a reference to an object, and can have custom methods defined for them. So that's it. Thank you for attention and see you on the next lesson. Bye.